On my way to the airport, I genuinely thought that the stressful part of travel day was over. My bags were packed, my ride to the airport was on time, and I had already checked in online. Now I just have to get on the airplane, sit back, and relax. The first clue that that wasn't going to happen was when people who already had boarded started getting off the plane. And somehow things just started unfolding from there. If you have ever come back from a trip thinking, now I only need a little bit recovery and life had other plans, this video is for you. Good morning, you. I thought I'll sit and chat a little bit with you because the trip and the return home has been a little bit more than I expected. So let me tell you what actually happened. So people had already started boarding the plane, and all of a sudden I see like a big group of people coming out again. And I thought, that can't be good. That cannot be a good sign. And about 20 minutes later, the pilot comes out and says that there's a small technical problem with the plane, that they're going to fix it, and there's something with the emergency lights, and they'll try to work on it so we can leave, but that there was going to be a delay. And he turns off the microphone, and in between his teeth, I feel like he said, otherwise we're not going to be able to leave today. So eventually they fixed it and we managed to board the plane, but I realized being 1 hour and over an hour delayed, my connection now in Amsterdam was going to be really short. Thankfully, I had airport assistance, so I know I didn't have to physically run to the other side of the airport. But I still only had 29 minutes to get through this massive airport, get through security, get through passport control, and actually make it to my gate before it closes. And I kept looking at my clock, and they still had to get some other people who also were using airport assistance, and I was looking at my watch and thinking I'm not going to make it. But fortunately, when we get to my gate, my second flight was also delayed. So they had started boarding, but I made it to board to my second flight towards Denmark. But when I get to Denmark, I realized I made it, but my suitcase didn't. Nothing says welcome home like your suitcase deciding it needs an extra day abroad. So I managed to make arrangements to get my suitcase sent to my house if they found it. The following day, I was of course missing some of my essentials. Fortunately, the most basic things I had in my hand luggage. If you want to see what I packed in my hand luggage, I have a previous video. I'll put it in the description box so you can see it. But anyway, I like things like my makeup, they were still in my luggage. So I had to, whatever I had to do it makeupless. And you know how I feel about going out bared face. I mentioned that in another video. But yeah, so my husband and I thought, well, we might as well make the best out of the day. So I rested in the morning, we went for a little walk, and then we had ice cream. And finally I got a call from the airport saying that my suitcase is on the way. So I can start unpacking. But still you have this feeling of like your body still not realize that you already arrived. It's still like in a different time zone. But it helps that in Denmark it's starting to be spring, so like the pear tree, for example, it had flowers, and it's still cold though. So since my body was tired, we kind of did very easy things, like for example, one day we had McDonald's. It's not something we do all the time, and yes, it was gluten-free bread. So as the week started to settle a little bit, I thought, okay, I have a little bit of energy, I'm going to wash my hair. And for me, it's a little bit easier if I have someone else to do things with me. That's why I often do like these companionship videos where like you can do laundry together with me or things like that. So I actually put a YouTube video in the background and enjoyed that video while I was doing my hair, like we were doing it together. Yeah, sometimes it's easier to do things when you feel like there's someone else quietly doing them together with you. I had an activity in the weekend. I was supposed to go on a bus like with a group of people who were also going to this activity in connection with my faith. And suddenly I get the message that there was not enough people who joined to on the bus. So the bus was cancelled and we each had to like try to figure out our own way to get there or attend via Zoom. And I was really hoping, like looking forward to this one. That was one of the reasons why I chose the dates of travel so I could make it to this activity. So I think my husband could sense I really wanted to go, so he actually offered that he would drive, and I thought, yes, that's nice. He can drive me there. I can still make it, and there was other things he could do in the area while I was in my activity. And then my parents-in-law called and said that they also wanted to join, and that's also okay. But it's different because I feel like then I should not just lay back in the car and take a nap. So yeah, that was fine. So, and then we get another call from my husband's relatives that live in that area saying, oh, since you're here in anyway and we don't normally go to that area, oh, we might as well just all get together and make a barbecue. So all of a sudden my very quiet a couple hours faith-based activity by my own became into like this whole weekend thing with family barbecue and so on. So yeah, and at this point I just thought I might as well just go with the flow. Apparently my recovery week had other plans. Yeah, so the day after that, and I thought, okay, finally maybe I can rest, and I actually did make the best to like kind of have a restful day, answer a few comments, and then we decided to go for a walk. And I think I had not kind of meditated on the fact that I just came back from Panama, super warm, and going out in the Danish spring and windy. It was so cold. So our walk ended up being like 5 minutes because I was completely underdressed and freezing. So yes, the first week was a little bit different than I expected. Normally I would try to leave at least 2 weeks with no activity so I can recover. Still slowly settling back into my daily life has been nice. Even if it involved delayed luggage and realizing that Denmark is still cold. So tell me honestly, do you also need a little recovery after a long trip, or do you just bounce back very quickly? Let me know. If you enjoy this kind of calm, drink your tea with me and talk video, YouTube is about to show you another one similar to this. I hope you enjoy.